Hello guys, it is me again, it's HorrorFan34, and welcome back to another video. And I have been tagged, and I know I'm really late with this tag. I know Sean Erschen tagged me in this. This was created by Random Horror. This is the 1990s horror movie slasher tag, and I didn't realize I was tagged not a little bit ago. You know, a little while back I was tagged in this. I just never got it. I'm like, oh crap, like I'm really late with this, and I figured like, oh no, like am I a little too late to put this up? And I'm like, you know what, I'm never too late to, you know, it's never too late to put up a video to a response and things like that. So I figured I would do this response video because I haven't done a tag video in a while, and or even responded to a tag. I'd like to do more of these. I'd like to get back into the groove of doing these things. I haven't done one in a while, but I was tagged by Sean Erschen, a great subscriber of mine on here, to do the 1990s slasher tag, and that was created by Random Horror. So I figured I would get to the questions. Let me just make sure I'm getting the amount of... Yeah, there was 10 questions and a bonus question. So I hope you guys enjoy my answers to these questions, and I hope this isn't too late for you, Sean, or Random Horror, or things like that. So anyways, let's get on to it. Number 1, the best gore effects in a 90s slasher. And I think most of these are Rob had on his list too, but I have to agree with him on number 1. But I think, you know, it's not one of the ones I watch the most in the series, but it's got really good gore effects, and it's probably the best I've seen in a 90s slasher, and that's Jason Goes to Hell. You know, probably the goriest film of the franchise. Like I said, it's not one of my personal favorites of the series. I do prefer like all the other ones, you know, Part 4, Part 3, and Part 2, and Part 6, and things like that. But I still think this film has a lot going for it with the gore. Really well done, brutal gore effects in the film. And I just think, you know, that's probably my favorite of 90s gore I've seen is Jason Goes to Hell. Favorite 90s slasher with a major star. Now, I know Rob did the Leatherface Chainsaw 3 because of Viggo Mortensen, but, you know, I could have gone with that one, but I'm going to go a little different here. I'm going to go with The Dentist. And you're probably thinking, what major star was in The Dentist? He had a little brief role. I mean, it wasn't a really big role, not like a huge role like probably Viggo Mortensen in Chainsaw 3, but I figured to be different, I'd choose The Dentist. And he had a brief role in this as one of the husbands of one of the patients, Mark Ruffalo. Yeah, Mark Ruffalo had a brief appearance in here in The Dentist. I mean, he's only in it for like 5 minutes and things like that, and then he doesn't get killed or anything like that. He's just in it in a brief role. But yeah, oh, that's Mark Ruffalo. Well before, you know, being the Hulk and all that stuff, Mark Ruffalo was in The Dentist. So I figured I'd choose that one because, you know, The Dentist is another great one that I think is really underrated. Number 3, favorite weapon used by a killer in a 90s slasher. I'm going to go with the hook hand from Candyman. Because, you know, granted, you know, Tony Todd, I mean, you know, people will say, like, I know you did Last Summer because the hook's used more in those movies. But, you know, the hook is still used in Candyman. And I think Candyman is a great example of a great 90s slasher. And, you know, Tony Todd as the Candyman, loved the hook hand. It's a great weapon for a 90s slasher movie and things like that. So, easily the hook from Candyman. Favorite 90s sequel? Yeah, number 4. Favorite 90s slasher sequel? Easily Child's Play 2. Child's Play 2 was a great sequel to the original film. And I think the first 2 Child's Plays are the 2 best Chucky films still to this day. The Child's Play 2 is fantastic. Love the whole setting in the toy factory. It was just a really great setting for a sequel. Number 5, sleaziest 90s slasher film. I think Rob mentioned this one. I'm going to make sure I'm getting the name right. Maniac Nurses. That's the one. Yeah, I'd definitely say that's my favorite for like 90s sleaziest slasher film. Let's see here. Question number 6. Favorite death scene in a 90s slasher movie? For me personally, it's kind of a funny one. It's in the first Scream film. I mean, it doesn't happen like with the weapon or things like that, but like the kill and how it happened, like the death scene, is kind of funny how it happens in the first Scream, where Rose McGowan gets caught on the garage door and then it goes up and her head gets crushed. And you hear that like squishing noise, like kind of like a slapstick kind of like squishing noise, and like you see like the way like for a brief second you can see like her face kind of like distorted. It looks kind of funny. I always thought that was like a really good death scene in the first Scream film. I chose that one because it was probably the most comical because of like the way her face looked for like a brief second. Number 7, favorite guilty pleasure 90s slasher film. That's easily for me. I got to go with Dr. Giggles because Dr. Giggles is a film that I feel like no one ever really mentions Dr. Giggles, and the late great Larry Drake as Dr. Giggles. It's just fantastic. I think it's a great one. It's a great guilty pleasure. I love Dr. Giggles. Number 8, favorite 90s slasher soundtrack. I gotta go with Robin on this one again too. That's Scream, the fantastic soundtrack. Love the Scream soundtrack. Favorite holiday themed 90s slasher. I gotta go with Rob again on this one because I couldn't really think of I didn't really see like a lot of like holiday like slasher films that stood out to me more than H2O, Halloween H2O. I mean, it has a great ending to a horror movie with Michael Myers getting killed, and that's why it's like one of the main things I don't like about Resurrection. They killed off Jamie Lee Curtis. Thankfully, they redeemed themselves with the new Halloween. Thankfully, but H2O, I love the cast. Like even the small appearances by Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the very beginning of the movie, and you have people like Josh Hartnett, LL Cool J, Jamie Lee Curtis, and things like that. It's a shame though. I think Donald Pleasance by this point passed away. I think Donald Pleasance by this point passed away maybe like a few years before H2O. If he was still alive, it would have been cool to bring him back as Dr. Loomis. But H2O is a great one. The last question is question 10. The scariest 90s slasher. That's without a doubt for me. Like when I think of like top scariest movies of the 90s, when it's a slasher film, I got to go back to this film right here. I have the poster hanging right there. Candyman. I mean, that was a really nice gift from my good buddy a couple years back. I love that poster. Candyman is, without a doubt, one of those films that really did creep me out, and it still does creep me out. The whole public restroom scene, and that was really the part that really got to me the most, is the public restroom scene. You also, Tony Todd opening up his jacket, and you see the bees, and you see his rib cage, and all that stuff, and the whole backstory with the Candyman, and all that stuff, and the bees on him, and the bees coming out of his mouth, and Tony Todd just has that really great booming voice, Candyman, I could go on and on. I mean, I'll save that maybe a review for one day whenever I do the Candyman franchise, and I'll just talk more about the first movie. But that's easily the scariest 90s slasher for me. And here's a bonus question: pitch an idea for a 90s slasher. Well, you figure this would be kind of like a horror movie version of like Backdraft in a way. You have kind of like a horror movie Backdraft where you have a firefighter, because you figure you've had a killer police officer in Maniac Cop, sorry. You had a killer doctor in Dr. Giggles. You have the dentist, Corbin Burnson is a killer dentist. So you've had a killer police officer, a dentist, a doctor, and things like that. How about a firefighter? Him being called to fires and him and he goes in there to save the people, and he goes in to save them and kills them, and then there's all the evidence burns up, and there's whole investigation of what's going on. I think that'd be a good idea maybe for a slasher film. Maybe try to do it with a firefighter. It'd be kind of like a slasher movie version of Backdraft, pretty much. Because Backdraft about an arsonist and things like that. It can be another slasher movie version of Backdraft, pretty much. I like to see kind of movie like that. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed all my answers to these questions, and thanks a lot for watching. And stay tuned for a couple videos I have coming up. Yesterday, before I go, yesterday I was at Monster Mania. I went on Sunday. I picked up a lot of really good stuff, and some of the stuff that I found at Monster Mania, 2 Blu-rays especially. I was waiting to get one of the Blu-rays first before I did my big Blu-ray update, and I found it at Monster Mania. I'm not going to say what it is yet, but now that I found that Blu-ray, now I'll be doing my entire Blu-ray update that I've been having saved up for the past few months. So I'll be showing the stuff I got from Monster Mania, then after that video will be the gigantic Blu-ray and DVD update. So stay tuned for those 2 videos coming up soon. So thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you guys next time. You guys take care.